The instant young Barron Trump attempted to muzzle Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, he inadvertently unleashed the most closely guarded secret of his family's empire, a paternity revelation his father worked tirelessly to keep buried. This was not a routine television appearance. It was an explosive tribunal where policy was abandoned for absolute personal war. Stick with us, because the fallout from this one-sentence comeback is still rocking the foundations of the political establishment. The broadcast commenced with an atmosphere thick with impending clash. Rep. Crockett entered the arena composed, laser-focused, the product of grueling days spent dissecting the actual crises plaguing everyday Americans: stagnant wages, systemic exclusion, and the total lack of accountability from those in power. Her presence was a mandate for honesty, challenging the expected theater of the evening. Barron Trump arrived projecting an air of inherited entitlement, a youth's recklessness amplified by dynastic privilege, clearly ready to play his role. And looming over the entire spectacle, Donald Trump, his energy a volatile anchor, ensuring the broadcast remained tethered to his unpredictable orbit. As the cameras rolled, Crockett established her dominance, measured, resolute, penetrating. She bypassed the standard political jargon to convey the visceral struggle of multi-job families, the disintegration of infrastructure, and the systematic failure of institutional safeguards. She provided texture, not statistics, giving voice to the voiceless. The studio audience leaned forward, gripped by a narrative that transcended partisan lines. Her argument was a lattice of irrefutable facts, seamlessly weaving together disparate issues under the banner of leadership to seat. She was untouchable because she had done the intellectual work. The moment her compelling rhythm reached its crescendo, the line broke. Barron Trump interjected, a brazen, uninvited outburst that was crude and intentionally disruptive. It was an act of raw power meant to crush the message, not debate it. The room seized up. Even the young man recoiled slightly from the raw nerve he had struck, searching for the faces in the crowd for validation that was conspicuously absent. Crockett refused to be baited. She allowed the shocking silence to hang, absorbing the transgression. This inaction was a masterclass in control. Barron's superficial bravado evaporated, replaced by the realization that his cheap shot had landed on a wall of pure, unshakable dignity. And then Crockett moved. Slow, intentional, she repurposed his attack into a weapon, launching a counteroffensive no one had conceived of. She announced the possession of profound documentation, a smoking gun obtained through meticulous forensic investigation, genetic markers, evidence supporting the long-whispered allegation that Ivanka Trump, not the First Lady, was Barron's true biological parent. The sound vanished from the studio, replaced by an overwhelming, claustrophobic hush. The color drained from Barron's face, pure terror, disbelief, and confusion. Before we detail Donald Trump's immediate frantic response, you must join the discussion. Smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. We are committed to broadcasting the moments of truth the mainstream media refuses to air. Don't look away. The biggest moment is still ahead. Donald Trump instantly became unhinged. He roared denunciations, demanding the program be yanked off the air, but the focal point had irrevocably shifted to his son. Crockett held firm, issuing her final devastating ultimatum: submit to an immediate DNA examination and permanently extinguish the cloud of suspicion. The whole world held its breath. Barron, his composure shattered, his voice barely a croak through rising tears, uttered the words of ultimate, final surrender. "Father, prove it. Let them test my DNA." That single sentence detonated the broadcast, the family's image, and the young man's public facade. Trump's rage intensified. His threats rained down on the technical crew. But Crockett skillfully refused to let the eruption consume her platform. She instantly pivoted back to the core principles: the citizen's right to honest governance, the plight of the working class, and the essential imperative of truth. Even as total pandemonium reigned, she anchored the moment in higher principle, demonstrating that true power is refusing to be silenced by intimidation. Barron stood, visibly shaking, trapped between the narrative of his father and the horrifying, palpable specter of the truth. His juvenile arrogance was completely eclipsed by genuine human vulnerability and a desperate yearning for authenticity. The network eventually obeyed, cutting the feed to black, leaving an oppressive, uncomfortable quiet in the studio. Crockett's final defiant message hung in the dead air, a fierce ultimatum for bravery, for dismantling power structures, and for upholding transparency. This historic night would not be remembered for a political spat, but for the profound personal strength of a congresswoman who converted an insult into a moment of radical self-exposure, proving that integrity can dismantle any wall of secrecy. The repercussions of this event went far beyond cable news. Legal teams were mobilized. Political strategists were in full panic mode. This wasn't merely fodder for tabloids. It was a fundamental structural threat to the Trump brand. What impact would a verified DNA swap have on succession, on the perception of honesty? We have the behind-the-scenes intel on the frantic war room discussions immediately following the cut. It was a scramble to control an uncontainable narrative. We must fully absorb the monumental significance of Barron's broken utterance. "Father, prove it. Let them test my DNA." This was a break from the script. It was the public rejection of a controlled identity, a raw demand for reality. In that moment, he transcended the role of the son and became a man pleading for answers, using his own body as the final test of his family's veracity. Crockett's tactical masterstroke lay in forcing the system's own rules of evidence on the most guarded personal dynamic of the administration. The ultimate legacy of this incredible confrontation belongs to Jasmine Crockett, the definitive proof that an unflinching commitment to truth can withstand and ultimately defeat the highest forms of intimidation. That is the definition of true political power. The question remains, what did Donald Trump do in the minutes after the broadcast ended? The answer is in our exclusive follow-up report linked in the comments section below. Hit the notification bell to ensure you don't miss the next stage of this shocking story. Share your thoughts on Barron's demand in the comments.
I want to make sure that I enter this UC, which is one of the reasons that we are a bit skeptical of any immigration, quote-unquote, enforcement laws that y'all are trying to pass. This UC is from The Guardian. It says, immigrants with no criminal record now largest group in ICE detention. You know, I listened to Mr. Van Drew.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. I listened to Mr. Van Drew, who I do respect, and he went on and on and on about how this is about the bad guys. And I will be honest with you and tell you that when it came down to the election, there were a lot of people who really believed that the Republicans and the president were all about getting the bad guys out. People truly believed your words, but your actions are not matching up, because I've got the receipts showing that they are not matching up.